Nation, some breaking news on the night of the 10th of January, a date that will live in infamy yet again. Alex Bregman has signed a deal finally, not with the Red Sox, but with the Cubs, an absolutely mammoth contract, $175 million over 5 years. This has been broken after a lot of speculation, a lot of, we heard a little bit, right, about the Red Sox maybe offering a 4 or 5 year deal. Some murmurs that maybe, news would break soon, and it did break, but not the way that obviously those rumors were implying. What's your reaction to this, Charlie and Chris?
I'm going to be completely honest. I am so happy that he's not a member of the Red Sox. I was a big supporter of Alex Bregman when he took probably like a month or so to get acclimated and he started really responding well to being in Boston and being a go-to guy for the young players on the team. And I appreciate that because, you think about good leaders in the clubhouse and the mentality that it takes to be not just a good leader, but a great leader, and putting the team above yourself and showing the young kids what you need to do. Because sometimes that's not necessarily what happens, where leaders don't necessarily lead because they don't want to lose their power. They don't want to be belittled. They don't want to be replaced. And he was totally cool recognizing, well, I'm not playing right now. So I'm just going to, show these younger kids what they need to do and make these adjustments and we'll see what happens. And then the whole I'm going to be opting out and I'm going to explore free agency to get my like mega deal happened. That really ticked me off. This isn't a team that's locked for the playoffs for the next couple of years. This isn't something that I think you can take lightly or for granted. There were no vocal leaders on this team. Devers is gone. You're going to be the North Star that people look to, but it doesn't really send a strong message to your young guys that if you sign a contract and you're not happy, not even done with year one, this is the message you're sending to the young guys. So essentially, the Cubs are giving him, I think, what the Tigers originally were going to do, which was 6 years on their deal. And this is $35 million per over the course of 5 years. $175 million 5-year deal with the Cubs. They're going to be so grossly disappointed in probably year 2 to 3-ish because the back end of that deal is going to age so terribly. It's going to be over 90 million, probably $100 million of just money that's not worth it. So the Red Sox never replaced Devers when they moved on from that mega contract. I would have been shocked if they gave anybody a 5-year deal after what happened with that whole ordeal. You're signing someone to over 10 years. You trade him midway through year 2. It doesn't work out. That happened. Okay, great. You never replaced Tyler O'Neill's home runs and bat. And now Alex Bregman is gone. So now your full force of offense is relying on the prayer that Tristan Casas will light it up again this year. Roman Anthony takes not a step up, I mean like a whole like floor up in performance. And that's going to be similar to the Brian Bayo expectation, where it's going to be a lot riding on his shoulders. Trevor Story is going to have to do what he did again and not get injured. Hopefully Wilson Contreras as well can be a big contributor on this team, but you can't expect that Wilson Contreras is going to step into Alex Bregman's shoes and we're just good to go. So ultimately, I'm happy the Red Sox did not hamstring themselves with a mega contract for a player that ultimately was not going to be in Boston or want to be in Boston. He just chased the money. That's it. And Boris got what he got for his guy. So $35 million for 5 years, and good luck to him. But if he comes back to Boston, he's going to get booed.
So I'm going to take the Harvey Dent approach. I'm going to be two-faced on this one. And what I mean by that is that I'm like Charlie, I am ecstatic that we are not re-signing Alex Bregman. I didn't want Alex Bregman, not with the way that the season ended up manifesting to and the way it ended. Like, the vibes were high, and admittedly, when we traded Rafael Devers, I was in supporting that move and being like, you know what, we've got Alex Bregman, he's coaching the kids, didn't realize how bad the injury was, and then things turned out the way they did, and I didn't feel very good about it. But I'm like, you know what, we have the money. So you know what, if we have Alex Bregman, or even if we don't, we have the money, we're going to spend it, and we're going to replace Rafael Devers. We haven't. And that's where I have a bone to pick with the Red Sox at this point, because I'm fine with letting Bregman go. But if you were not going to spend that Rafael Devers money and replace that bat in this lineup, what the hell are we doing? And there's only one move now, barring a trade that none of us see. It's Bo Bichette. And if you don't go out there and sign Bo Bichette with the money that we have, then just punt the season at this point. I see Jared Carrabis out there, and listen, you know what? Admittedly, I like that crew. I know they're our competition, even though no one really considers their competition, if we're being honest. But to go out there at Fenway Fest or whatever the hell bullshit they're doing, sorry for cursing, Charlie, put the dollar in the jar. But to be like, oh, well, no one's counting on Roman Anthony and the elevation. It's like, dude, let's just hope Roman Anthony doesn't get hurt. Because we were all singing his praises, and like I was the one calling him a singles merchant, which, to be honest, the majority of last year he was a singles merchant, and that's fine. Like if he's gonna bat over 300 and hit a bunch of singles and doubles and run into a home run, I'm happy about that. But that's not 40 home runs. So to project that when the guy gets hurt and didn't even play in the playoffs, and we get bounced by the Yankees, like I don't want to hear, oh well, there's going to be this elevation moment, because there's nothing to suggest it at this point. And I'm hoping I'm wrong. And I want Roman Anthony I want him to be the next Ted Williams. But to act like he's going to be just because we hope he's going to be is foolish. It's fool's gold. And we had Rafael Devers. And yes, admittedly, I didn't like his attitude. I wanted him to just shut up and play because he got a $300+ million contract, the largest in Red Sox history, over David Ortiz, who I would take any day over the week over Rafael Devers. I think any of us would. He's the most clutch hitter in maybe modern day baseball history in the playoffs. Sorry, Aaron Judge, because you actually have to do it in the playoffs. And Rafael Devers is the closest thing to that. And then he was gone. And we've done nothing to replace him. And like I see people in the comments now, like, let's get to Suarez. Like, no. Suarez isn't replacing Rafael Devers. He's not even replacing Bregman. And I don't want Bregman. Go out there, get Bo Bichette, and let's start from there. But I have zero confidence the Red Sox are going to do it. But I'm glad we don't have Bregman.
So one quick point, and I'm going to say this because it's going to be absolutely incredible if this happens. So real quick, Rafael Devers signed on paper the 15th largest contract in Major League Baseball history. It was the fattest contract ever given to a Red Sox player. First one over $300 million. Didn't end up working out, and is what it is. The Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs do end up facing each other this year, which is going to be so special if that ends up being, a series where it matters, or even more so, more important, if he's actually playing. So it's going to be one of the last weeks of the season. It's the 25th, 26th, and 27th of September, and it's at Fenway Park. So I'm really curious to see like what ends up happening with that one. I think he's going to get booed. I don't think on any way, shape, or form planet this guy is going to be given like a standing ovation. You're here for 1 year. You chase the bag. It is what it is. And I hope he strikes out 10 times when he goes back to Boston.
Yeah, I mean, this city right now and this team is experiencing nothing short of a power outage. Like you guys mentioned, and like we've been saying, where are the home runs on this team? It's really sad to me how Alex Bregman, even when he was a free agent last year, you heard so many Red Sox fans coveting him, right? People were saying this dude was made for Fenway. He's going to rake here. He's going to abuse the monster. And certainly when he was healthy this year, especially before the injury, he hit very well. And it's just incredible to see that we threw away a franchise player in Rafael Devers. I'm sorry to keep bringing it up, but you have to, for 2/3 of a year of Alex Bregman. That's really what it is. It's just malpractice at this point. It's ridiculous. It's an organizational failure, and it's a failure of philosophy at the end of the day. This team, for some reason, decided they did not want to pay Devers that money. And it's looking like they don't want to pay anyone that money, because right now you look at the free agent class, you look at the field, Ketel Marte is off the trading block, Alex Bregman is in Chicago, And it's really Bo or bust. And unfortunately, I'm on team bust. If I were to place my money there, that's where it is. It says something where even before Alex Bregman was signed, I was already doing the gymnastics in my head saying, oh, well, if you look at the numbers, maybe a platoon between Brendan Donovan and Romy Gonzalez could be effective at second base. And then you have Marcelo Meyer and Nate Eaton at third base. That's where we're going right now. But there's no guarantee we even get Brendan Donovan. At this point, I'm starting to see people throw out the name Nolan Arenado again. You want to bring up General Patton too? If we're digging up graveyards, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And for anyone who was there when the news broke, for anyone who just happened to be looking at their phone when it happened, maybe they log into X or Twitter or whatever, or YouTube, they see the news break, the reaction was speaking loudly for itself, I think. Red Sox Nation is pissed off, quite frankly. But is it going to actually hurt John Henry's wallet? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that is going to send a clear message. So long as Fenway keeps selling tickets, keeps being its historical museum self, it just sucks, man, because you have players to root for on this team. You really do. But this ownership group, man, and Breslow, as much as I want to, beat him like a piñata right now, as much, you know what I mean? As much as I want to create an effigy like it's Guy Fawkes Day over in England, I really just, you can't view Breslow without saying this dude is just a muppet right now for ownership. He's doing exactly what he's been ordered to do. And that's why he was the 11th candidate, right? He's just Heim Bloom version 2. And that's why they're so buddy-buddy on the trading block.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I mean, when they were floating 5 years, 150, 5 years, 160, it's a done deal. It's going to be happening for Boston. A lot of people said it. I'm not going to name drop right now which person. But I didn't think it was going to happen. I think if Alex Bregman had 160 from the Red Sox or any other team, you take that money, you take that deal. So I don't think there was ever any realistic shot that we were going to get Bregman. And I'm okay with that. Chris is okay with that. We were both excited. It felt like Christmas still was happening. It's just not the 25th of December. The other thing is, while I think we're all aligned, we'd rather have Bo Bichette, I don't think Bo Bichette's coming to Boston either. And that's what sucks about this. If you're going to spend 5 years, 160, or let's just say this, 175 for Bregman. Say you offered 160. Bo Bichette is probably going to get somewhere in the realm of 7 or 8 years. Bo Bichette is still 27 years old. He hasn't hit 28 yet. That's in a couple of months. He's going to get 7 years minimum. The only contract that you were flirting with outside of, Rafi Devers potentially was Alex Bregman at 5 years, because the fear and the risk of having someone for longer is just too much to bear. It's just too much for the Red Sox. They just couldn't handle it. This front office is a complete joke. You are not a 90-win team. You're not an 80-win team. You might be a 70-win team. And that's assuming none of your major players get injured or dealt at this point. Because honestly, with the names that you're left with, Brendan Donovan, I don't hate him, but Brendan Donovan, Bo Bichette, they're not the same class of player. And anyone who tries to make like a justification or an argument in saying, oh yeah, no, but Brendan Donovan's going to be a great suitable replacement, I think you're missing the point. You're missing the point here. This is the Boston Red Sox. It's not the Miami Marlins. It's not the Chicago White Sox. It's, God, what's another bargain, bottom of the, I mean, this is quite possibly one of the, I'm going to say this team is very hateable. Outside of like Roman Anthony, Trevor Story, and Garrett Crochet, there aren't too many bright spots. Like, I'd be shocked if any of those Red Sox jerseys outside those three names, Cedar Rafaela as well, I don't want to disrespect him either, but outside those four guys, I don't know who anyone's going to cheer for. The only like bright spot that I think that I've seen in the last, 72, 96 hours, 4 days, was the Peyton Tolley interview. Did you guys see that on YouTube or Twitter, Instagram, anything today?
No.
He is such a likable dude. If you saw him on the street, he'd be like, hey, do you want to grab beer? He'd probably say sure. Like, he just seems like that. He doesn't have an ego. He's a super cool guy. Could you imagine someone like Alex Bregman doing that? No. So we need to get more Peyton Tolley type mentality guys in this on this team. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to have to do, but this team is not going to be a fun team to watch, and we're going to get blown out. The doors are going to get blown off, and you might actually see Garrett Crochet with a losing record this year in 2026. He might actually go 11-12 or 11-13, 12-14. Mark it. 110-26. Garrett Crochet could have a losing record. He could have the Jacob deGrom effect like when he was a Met. 10-12, 11-13, and probably still win like a Cy Young.
I'm going to preface this statement with, I hope that I'm wrong. And I'll just say that I hope that I'm wrong. But the truth is, I see a lot of people comment on the things that we post from our account and like, oh, you guys are going to flip flop. You're going to wish you had Alex Bregman, yada, 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 etc. And the truth is, I don't think any of us are going to, and I could speak for myself. I used to be a Red Sox season ticket holder living in New York. I'm not anymore. I called the Red Sox the other day and said, cancel my tickets. I don't want them anymore. If your ownership's not going to care about the team, I'm not going to drive 4+ hours with traffic to come up there, spend X amount of dollars at a freaking hotel to have my wife and 2 kids to watch this product. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I've done it for years, and I love the Red Sox, and I want the Red Sox to win. It's not a matter of wanting them to lose and me to be right. Like, I hope I am wrong. I want to make that very clear, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong because the Red Sox just keep doing everything to say that I'm going to be right. They make the most money of any team in baseball, and they don't spend it. And Bo Bichette is just such a logical answer. Like, here's the reality, to Charlie's point. The Red Sox could sign Bo Bichette to a 10-year contract at $280 million and an AAV of $28 million a year. And that would be better than signing Alex Bregman to 5 years, $175. It's more fiscally responsible just because of the age. Because at 10 years, they are the same age on a 5-year contract. That's the reality. And he has not had the injuries that Alex Bregman has. That's just a fact. So, to me, we have the money. The fact that Bo Bichette's going to go out there and go to the Phillies and probably get signed by an ex-Red Sox GM in Dombrowski is sickening. There's no excuse. You're making money hand over fist. Spend it. And if you're not going to, then I'm not going to. Because at the end of the day, I don't have the revenue that the Red Sox have coming in. I do pretty well, but not well enough. Not in comparison to John Henry and the Red Sox. So if you're not going to spend the money, I'm not going to spend the money. And you know what? I hate to say it this way. Boston's going to be in for a rough weekend. Chicago's having a great weekend. Bears just beat the Packers for the first time in a million years since I think Pearl Harbor happened. It's the first time they've beaten them in the playoffs. And I hate to say it, Patriots fans, you're probably going home tomorrow because you had a good record, but you haven't beaten a damn team over 500. In fact, the New York Giants, who have the 5th overall pick, had more wins against 500 and above teams than New England Patriots. So, rough week in Boston this week for sports.
First off, how dare you? Second off, that's disrespectful.
It's facts.
Third
Charlie.
of all, Christopher, we discuss this later, but this is the baseball show. I'm going to say this. Terrence and I talk about a boatload of stuff. We talk about cribbage, sometimes backgammon, mostly the Boston Red Sox. And let me ask you a question. With your opinions on both Craig Breslow and John Henry, with or without Bo Bichette, this is my part right here. If Bo Bichette signs with the Yankees or a team in the AL East, whether or not he does, do you think that Craig Breslow and John Henry will be able to recover from this blow from a PR standpoint?
There's nothing to suggest that they wouldn't, because here's why.
Okay.
What's happened the last decade that would suggest they wouldn't? They've made the most money being a below average franchise to this point. They've had 1 or 2 playoff appearances in the last 6 years in which we got bounced by the Yankees this past year, and then we lost to the Astros, and then we didn't make the playoffs for 4 seasons, 3 seasons, whatever. The problem is, to Nick's point, is Fenway Park has become a museum. and it just rakes in money from people that just visit
of course.
Boston.
Of course, they're selling them on the Fenway experience. Nick, I'm curious to hear what you think about any of this.
Yeah, I think that there are two things that can be simultaneously true. I don't believe that this is going to hurt John Henry's wallet. I don't think it's going to hurt attendance numbers, but I also don't think that this is a stain that washes out. Will John Henry ever be able to smoke a cigar in public again? Probably not, right? Because this dude, like, once you lose that trust, once you lose that reputation, once you become a laughing stock, it's hard to recover from that image. And this dude might be richer than I could ever be in my wildest dreams. He might own the Boston Red Sox. He might own the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ooh, well, he might have used to. But the thing is that the guy has been proven to be a cheapskate, right? This dude has fumbled so many talents, and it's so hard. I was just talking with a friend right before we went on the show. It's so hard to get invested in the next generation of talent. How are you supposed to buy a Roman Anthony jersey? How are you supposed to get excited about Marcelo Meyer or get excited about Franklin Arias or any of these guys when it's very likely that, they're going to perform for 4 years, go to a couple all-star games, and then get traded in a lackluster package? If you don't want to keep your best players, your homegrown talent, then you find yourself in the shoes of the Detroit Tigers, getting outmatched on arbitration to the tune of $12 million by a guy who, by all means, you should be opening up a blank check for. It's just very unfortunate. It really is. And, similarly, when it comes to the Alex Bregman thing, I would say the same thing. There are two things that can be true at once. I'm very happy that he's not going to be on the books for that contract. But I don't have faith in us taking that $35 million that we just saved and investing it where it needs to be invested. I wanted Alex Bregman back because I wanted his bat in the lineup and I wanted his glove on the field. But it was very much a sunk cost fallacy, right? We had already lost so much by getting this guy that now we have a black hole when he's taken away, right? And so now what are we looking at? We're looking at maybe Eugenio Suarez. That's a nightmare. We're not looking at any of the Japanese guys, that's for sure. They've been signed because we were late on the ball. So I don't know, man. This is just an ugly, ugly look. And in my opinion, this is about 10 times worse than the Mookie Betts trade.
So Charlie, I want to just say one thing. Like, to Nick's point, I agree with you because maybe I misunderstood the question of what you were asking. I agree that I don't know if John Henry will ever beat the rap that he has now created for himself as far as the persona of being cheap based off of these things, especially if he doesn't sign someone.
Sure.
But on the flip side, I do believe that, like, is that going to hurt the Red Sox? No, because I just think the Red Sox are at a point now that they're a revenue stream that just can't be stopped based off of the history, for better or worse.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think if the history isn't a part of it, I mean, you reap the benefits of having the oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball. So that's a huge plus, right? I think if you're going to do a stadium tour of a ballpark, if Fenway Park isn't one of the three listed, I would really question if the person who educated you understood baseball and history and just logic. I mean, Fenway Park is one of the most beautiful stadiums ever. It might not be great for the visitors clubhouse and whatnot, but I mean, it's fun. It's exciting. I personally, I don't know if Craig Breslow will be able to recover, but let's not forget that Breslow wasn't the first option. It wasn't the second option. It wasn't the third. I think Terry did like the number of the full list. He was like number 10 or number 11. So at the end of it, if he doesn't end up recovering, well, he's the 11th choice. If you're John Henry, he's already called us stupid. He's already said, fans have unreal expectations of winning every year. Or forgive me if I don't have the exact wording, but it was along the lines of fans have unreal expectations of winning every year. I don't expect to win every year. The odds of winning every year, I mean, I think winning Major League Baseball's World Series is the single hardest trophy to hold in your paws outside of the World Cup. And the only reason I say that is because the World Cup happens once every 4 years. There's only 8 countries, that have ever won the World Cup. Maybe 9. The World Series is every year, but it's 162 tests to get to the games that matter. You need to win 90 of those 162. You have to have a variance of 20 or more. This isn't a team on paper that looks like they can get that done. That's not a shot. That's just a fact. If you were to look at it, you don't have the best team in the AL East. Jeremy and I did this one earlier where we both felt that, it was Toronto, New York, and then you got the Baltimores and Tampa Bays that could possibly fight for 3-4. I have the Red Sox as the 5th team in the AL East. I don't know where you guys have them, but I have the Boston Red Sox winning the 5th most games in the American League East because I don't think that they're better than the New York Yankees. They're definitely not better than the Blue Jays. They're not better than the Rays, and they're not better than the Orioles.
So I was on that show with you, Charlie.
You were on it too? Okay, that's right. Yeah, sorry, that's right. It's been a while.
It's okay. But similarly, I think I had the Sox. It was a toss-up between 3 and 4. I think I had them 4th, right behind the Orioles.
Maybe Jeremy had them 3rd then. I don't remember what it was. But I was like, I don't know how you put them 5th. Or less, higher than 5th, really,
Yeah. I think I had them right behind the Orioles. But I think the difference was between me, you, and Jeremy's. I had the Yankees winning the division still possibly.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay.
But nonetheless, as far as for the Sox, like I don't. They're certainly not the first team. They're definitely not the second team. And maybe they turn out to be better than the Orioles because injuries, all these things that you just can't foresee. It's possible, but at the end of the day, even 3rd, that's not good enough.
Right.
Not off the season that we just had. Not the trajectory that we should have had coming off last season.
So before any big names got signed, I said, if you really want to try to tell your fans that you're serious, go sign Kyle Schwarber for 1 year and $50 million for 2026. Just give him $50 million or $45 million. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's fun money. It's $45 million that you definitely have. You don't know if you're going to play the following year anyways, so it doesn't really matter. And so I wonder if this is just ownership thinking, you know what, we'll just play it out this year. We're probably not going to play baseball in 27. Who cares? Don't worry, Chris. I'll match you. Who gives a shit? There's $1. It's just that where the mindset isn't win now. It's win maybe, and we'll hope for winning games as opposed to the final trophy. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you for saying, you know what, I'm good. I don't want to invest $1 here. It's just not worth it to me. I don't want to drive the 4 hours, pay for parking, bring the wife, bring the kiddos to a game where you're probably going to get the doors blown off. And I mean, that sucks. You're going to drive 4 hours, watch a 3-hour game, get your ass whooped, and then drive another 4 hours back. Like that, I'd rather donate the money to the gym.
That actually would be better. I have to go into a hotel, which costs additional money just to drive 4 hours the next day.
Yeah, but you get my point. I don't blame you for having to do that. Like it's just dumb. It's just dumb. So for me, I mean, if the Red Sox, if I'm going to be attending any games where the Red Sox are playing, it will be at somebody else's stadium. I'll go watch the Red Sox play in LA. I'll go drive to San Diego to see them. I'd be willing to go to San Francisco, Vegas when it happens, Arizona if it happens. I'll go to those stadiums. I'll drive. I'm not going to spend $1 at Fenway Park. And it pains me to say that. Like, it hurts. It hurts to say that. But when you don't care, why should we? And you said it perfectly, Chris. If you don't care, I'm not going to care.
This team came into the offseason with 3 clear needs.
Mm-hmm.
And they went out and they looked and they said, we need a front of the rotation starting pitcher. And they didn't get Dylan Cease. They didn't get Framber Valdez. They didn't get Ranger Suarez. They got Sonny Gray. And they said, we need a real power bat. We need a first baseman with pop. And they didn't get Pete Alonso. And they didn't get Kyle Schwarber. They went out and they got Wilson Contreras. And they said, we need an infielder to sort of round us out, preferably with some power in the bat, a real offensive, dynamic type of player to really give us a front of the lineup type of bat and some good defense. And they didn't get Alex Bregman, and they didn't get Ketel Marte, and they didn't yet get Bo Bichette. What are they going to go out and get? That's really what we're going to be looking at. This little giving tree style parable, right, is what we're going to be thinking about come opening day. And it's a shame because in a vacuum, I do like Sonny Gray. I think there's a chance he has a good year. I do like Wilson Contreras. I'm looking forward to seeing him hit in this lineup, but it's just a bit frustrating because it feels like we're shooting for the stars as Red Sox fans, which I don't think is completely unreasonable. We are a big market team in theory. We should be like the Dodgers in theory. And yet we're going out there and we're going for the 5th best option, the 7th best option. And that's just what's driving me crazy right now. And, this is still an expensive team. That too is frustrating. The idea that this isn't a true payroll cut team. This isn't $150 million. This is still over the luxury tax. This is still talking about butting up against, that next threshold of spending. And it's frustrating because that means, well, where's all the money going? It's going to Patrick Sandoval, and he might pitch well too. It's going to Masataka Yoshida, who better hit well. We need him to at this point. We don't have a choice. But we're really just at this annoying middle ground where we need money to just come off the books, I guess. We need to go down below the threshold again, I guess, because at this point, what's next year going to look like? What's the year after that going to look like? It's going to be more of the same of saying, well, we don't have the money to spend on the players we want, so we're going to go out and spend half the money, some of the money, still a good amount of money, on the 5th best option. And I'm really tired of operating like that. It has not yielded a successful baseball team yet, and I don't think it will going forward, especially not with teams, to your guys' point, like Toronto in the division, who clearly, give a crap.
What's disappointing too is, like you mentioned, yes, in a vacuum, Sonny Gray maybe works out. Wilson Contreras, nice player. We gave up a lot of assets, which was the strength for this team going into this offseason, where it's like, man, we got a lot of assets. If we really want to move some of these guys, we can bring in some pivotal foundational pieces. And again, Wilson Contreras, nice player. If Sonny Gray somehow puts it together, numbers say he won't historically, but if he does, could potentially be a good player. But they're also on the wrong side of 30. So they're not going to be foundational pieces for the long term and for this window of these young guys that are supposed to emerge and kind of be the next iteration of the Boston Red Sox that are going to be this perennial contender that we've been sold on for a half a decade. So to give away all these assets for guys that are like 1 to 2, 3 year, maybe 4 at most, is just disappointing when you're not spending any money to add foundational pieces like a Bo Bichette, like a Pete Alonso, or go out there and trade some of these assets for players that could be here for 5, 6, 7 years. And it's honestly just mind-boggling at this point. And then, we haven't even mentioned this clip. The fact that Craig Breslow came out today and had the audacity to basically be like, oh, I never really thought about us trading one of the 4 outfielders. Like, what? Is that because no one else looks at Jarren Duran as a 7 WAR player and you're the only moron that does in the MLB? Is that why you couldn't imagine trading him? Or even Abreu? We have these assets and we get rid of ones that we really don't have a lot of, and then we're sitting on a ton of outfielders. And I get it. One injury and we could need them. But the truth is we still have so many deficiencies on this team. Like you said, Nick, we went into the offseason needing 3 things and we filled half of one and none of the other 2. And then we're sitting on a 4th outfielder that could fetch us something. And he's like, oh, I really haven't considered it. Well, the rest of the Red Sox nation has, Craig. And I get it. Chaim Bloom might be on vacation this week, and you don't know how to trade with anyone except Chaim Bloom. Figure it the hell out.
Wasn't it just hilarious? That's like, oh, breaking news, Red Sox have made another trade with the St. Louis Cardinals. It's like, awesome. Maybe he forgot, but there's 30 teams to trade with, not one. So, or 29, excuse me. It's just, it was embarrassing. And And so you brought up a point about Sonny Gray too. And I had to double check because Sonny Gray is 36, right? Not looking. How old was Corey Kluber when he joined the Red Sox? Who was older? Without looking, who do you think was older? Sonny Gray or Corey Kluber?
It's Sonny Gray.
It must be Sonny Gray if you're posing the question.
No. So by a year, he's younger. By a year.
Okay.
But we continue, and this is, believe me, I would have said Sonny Gray too, because I thought Corey Kluber was 35 when he joined the Red Sox for his shortened year. Why is it that the Boston Red Sox insist on doing one of two things? We're going to sign a player to a multi-year deal, but they're not going to pitch or play the first year. We're just going to really hope for gold in year two. James Paxton was one. Patrick Sandoval was another. Lucas Giolito ended up being that, but it wasn't the intention. He ended up getting $18 million for 2 straight years, and he did pitch because of TJ surgery. And so we keep doing that. So it's like, well, if your goal is to do that, don't pay them the first year. Give them an extra $2-3 million the second year. Save the freaking money. You look like idiots. You look like morons. And so Sonny Gray, being 36, looking at his numbers, had a great year last year in St. Louis. 201 strikeouts, 180 innings. He's hit 180 or more in 2 of the last years. Pitched in Minnesota, did fine. Was great in Cincinnati. Could not hack it on one team. Played in Oakland, played in New York, played in Cincinnati, Minnesota, St. Louis. Could not hack it in the AL East. So do we think that we just found gold with Sonny Gray? I mean, I want to give him a chance because there weren't too many other things that are potentially going to be good here. I don't want to say it's going to be over before it starts, but I don't think that Sonny Gray is going to be probably top 5, top 6, number 2 pitcher in baseball. I'd be shocked if he's top 10.
Yeah, top 10, I agree. Top 10 is the best case scenario, I think. And I'm entering this year as a Sonny Gray fan. But I agree. I'm not necessarily banking on him being the guy that we needed necessarily. Phipp loves him, and I love Phipp, I'll fully admit. But right now, the infield defense is questionable. I'm not sure if Sonny Gray's ground ball metrics based off the top of my head, but I mean, we really need an infielder still, man. And it's just scary. It really is. And you're absolutely right about the Corey Kluber, about Patrick Sandoval. This team has become the rebound destination for free agents. If you're coming off a bad year and you're not happy with the offers you're getting, go and play for the Red Sox, audition for the rest of the league, and then go get paid. That's pretty much our modus operandi right now, and that's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous and it's humiliating.
I mean, we're the Boston Reclamation Projects is really what our new name should be.
The Boston Mid Sox, baby. The Boston Mid Sox.
And listen, I'm a numbers guy. Like I numbers don't lie. They are just facts based off of what actually happened. And I get it. There's the side where Sonny Gray's in rare company, I think, with Tariq Skubal and like Garrett Crochet as far as like strikeouts. And I don't know the exact stat. I don't even remember because I really don't care at this point. Because the truth is, there's the other side of it where there's enough evidence in the AL East to suggest, specifically in Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium, where he's not a good pitcher. And like those are the 2 stadiums that I give a crap about. I need him to certainly pitch well in his home ballpark, which would be Fenway Park, which he doesn't. And then on the road, it's like, yeah, I mean, I should care about the Toronto Blue Jays, but like there's not enough animosity now at this point that I could give 2 craps. But the Yankees always are going to pique my interest. And like, he doesn't pitch well there. So it's already like, I don't need to know more. Like, great, you can strike out the Cincinnati Reds. Good for you. Most teams can. The Pittsburgh Pirates, most teams can. Yeah, you pitched with the Brewers, but, I'd be interested to know what his stats were against the Brewers last year, considering they were a great team that flamed out as we all expected in the playoffs. It's, to both your points, it would be an absolute miracle if he was a top 10 pitcher. But the truth is, like, if I pose this question to you, especially knowing with Lucas Giolito at his high point last season, who has a better chance of being a top even 20 pitcher in the MLB? Lucas Giolito or Sonny Gray. And I know there's statistics that probably support both, but my gut tells me based off age and then also knowing the divisions they played in, it's like Lucas Giolito. That's what my gut would tell me. And I didn't want Lucas Giolito. But we said, nope, we're going to replace Lucas Giolito with an older version of Lucas Giolito who doesn't pitch well in Fenway Park or Yankee Stadium. Enjoy it, Red Sox fans. Here's your bib.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really, really fun this year. I mean, do we have a higher probability of getting 6 wins in a row or losing 3 games in a row by at least 8 or 9 runs?
I would say 6 in a row only because bad teams win 6 games in a row because you can get fluky things in 6 games. 8 to 9 runs is quite a bit of a margin. Now, if you said if we would win 6 in a row or lose 15 in a row, I would say we have a greater chance to lose 15 in a row because you could lose it by 1 run.
Which we were the 1-run merchants for a while. I mean, we had the second most losses by 1 run in 2025 to the Chicago White Sox, I think. I think we had 18 and they had 22 or something like that. 16 and they had 20 or something. And then all of a sudden things changed because Chapman blew a save, and that was the last time we saw Liam Hendricks. I'm so glad he's gone. And that was the thing. And then all of a sudden, then Chapman had the immaculate month, no hits. It was just, or maybe he had 1 hit a lot. I can't remember, but it was just flawless. And he earned his contract. But yeah, man, I mean, this is going to be fun.
Let me play a game here for you guys.
I love games.
We'll end it here because I think this is telling. I'll ask you guys this question first, and then I'm going to ask the second question. First, what do you think currently, if we do nothing else, where do the Red Sox finish record-wise? What do you think, Charlie, and then Nick?
How many wins do we have in 2026?
How many wins do we have? Yes.
Ooh, this is a very, very good question. I'm hoping we can crack 70, and I know someone's going to say, oh my God, like that's crazy. You don't think they're going to get 70? You're 1 major injury away. You lose Trevor Story or Roman Anthony, you have no offense. Or you're praying for Wilson Contreras and Trevor Story to carry the load when Roman Anthony is gone and Rafaela is going through one of those ugly spells of a lot of strikeouts and no extra base hits. Or God forbid, you lose Garrett Crochet. So I think in a perfect world where there's no injuries, you're probably 74. I'm going to say 70, 74, 73. Those are my 2 numbers. With an injury, 67, 66. And you're barely sniffing 100 losses. But it could happen with 1 major injury. I'm really not feeling that confident right now. So I'll say on record, 74 will round up.
Okay.
It's tough. I'd love to take a look at the roster, but just the vibe that I'm getting right now, I'm not going that low. I think I would throw a dart at the board, and I'll say 84. I think we're going to finish with 84
over 500.
Wins. I do think so.
Wow.
84, okay. And it's going to be one of those years where with the 2026 Red Sox, you're looking at the win record at the end of the season and the playoff standings, and you're kicking and screaming and going, why couldn't we have just found 4 more WAR last offseason to maybe, have gotten us there? And I think we're just going to fall short and pretty much field the team that this ownership wants, which is competitive, but not good enough.
I will split the difference. I think we are probably a 75-76 because I look at the team 2 years ago offensively, we are not better than that team. And that team had Rafael Devers, and it finished with, I think, 78 wins or somewhere around there. And while I would say our pitching is probably better as far as the starting pitchers, I don't know what to expect from Bayo. If he regresses back to the old Bayo, like that's a huge step back. And again, I already went through my whole diatribe of Giolito and Sonny Gray. I think that's a wash at best if we're hopeful. And Crochet without the run support, it's hard to expect him to have the same season. So I would say 75-76 wins. Now, I'll pose this question to you guys. If I could give you the option of you could have Bo Bichette or Framber Valdez, one of those
Bo
two
Bichette.
players.
Bo Bichette.
Okay, both Bo Bichette.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bichette.
Adding, so
100%.
we'll all be on the same page because I would agree. Bo Bichette's the guy. If we add Bo Bichette to this roster, what does the win
Yep.
total look like now?
You want to go first?
Go for it.
I've never once heard anybody say anything bad about Bo Bichette. I think that Framber Valdez is a piece of garbage. I really do. I think when you allegedly get crossed up with your catcher and you bean your catcher because you got upset that you gave up a grand slam, you're just an awful human being, because we don't swear on the show. But off the show, I'll tell you exactly what I think about Framber Valdez. I did not want him even on a low ball contract coming to Boston, because you don't need more head cases. Thank you. Goodbye. Don't want Framber. It could have been anyone or Framber, and it would have been anyone for me. That's how much I dislike Framber Valdez. It's like, dude, would you want someone who had domestic violence like attached to them? Absolutely not. Not thinking or saying that Framber Valdez is in that bucket, but he's the type of person that if he has anger management problems, I'm all set with that. I don't need that. Thank you. Goodbye. Bo Bichette coming to Boston, what does that add? Assuming, again, the Red Sox are healthy without any problems, you're probably 82 and 80, maybe 83 and 80, 79, something like that. Like in that range, you're above a 500 team. Because I think that Bo Bichette, a right-handed bat at Fenway Park, could absolutely wreak havoc for 81 games in a season. So yeah, I'll say, what did you say, Nick, beforehand? You said
I said 84.
All right, so I said 74. You said 84. Chris was at 76.
Yep.
I'll say that the variance goes up 9. I'll go up to 83. That was the first number I said, 83. What do you say, Nick, to that?
Yeah, I'll probably, I'll be a little more conservative, I guess, in my swing, but I'd say it probably jumps us up from an 84 win team to an 88 win team. And you go from wishing you just had that one more piece to being in potentially a wild card race.
Chris?
I'm going to say probably 84 to 85 wins. So I'm going to be in that same variance as you, Charlie, like a 9 to 10.
Yeah.
Just because, and again, I don't even necessarily, like, he's not the best defender, but I think he's an upgrade right now over what we're going to be putting there on a consistent basis. To the point where it brings a certain level of consistency defensively, and then obviously on the offensive side, where you can kind of guarantee you're probably going to get 2 or 3 more wins than his WAR would necessarily say.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. It's just going to be wishful thinking, hoping to come under the Christmas tree and see that present there, and it's just not going to be there, because at the end of the day, dude, I think all three of us are aligned. It's another one where it's like, oh man, I wish we had him too, and we didn't get him.
It's not going to happen, but if it did, in a world where it did, here's what I do think.
God.
If somehow the Sox did pull that off, I actually would expect them to be a team that finishes somewhere closer to 90, because if you're going for Bichette, you're not stopping there. If you're going to go for it, what I do think ends up happening is Breslow's eventually going to start fielding calls for that fourth outfielder, because now there's no options for all the other teams. They get desperate. And now all of a sudden you are maybe able to improve your starting pitching, improve your bullpen, which now yields that additional 1, 2, 3, 4 wins, where that 85 win teams becomes an 89 win fringe 90. And we're right back to where we were last year. And then depending on who those teams are and who takes a step back, maybe you are a wild card team. I don't know. But even if you improve those 2 areas, we're certainly not competing for the division. Maybe we're able to get past the Orioles, the Yankees, if things don't go their way, because they haven't really done much, and they're an injury away from the same position as we are.
Let me ask you a question too. Knowing that Alex Bregman got his ridiculous contract of 5 at 175, where do you think Bo Bichette is going to land? Knowing full well that a lesser hitter, better defender, even though it's not the same position, you got shortstop versus third base. I think shortstop is the premium position in baseball. Not as good of a fielder, much better hitter. I don't think Alex Bregman's going to do. I mean, he'll probably hit 18, 17 home runs as a member of the Chicago Cubs. I would be so pissed if I'm paying $35 million for someone who's going to hit 17 home runs. I think Bo Bichette's going to hit 30. wherever he ends up. He's going to hit 30. He's probably going to be a 3,100 guy. He's going to be that like Matt Holliday type guy who we wish hit for better average, but can still steal bases. And assuming he can stay healthy, what do you think he gets? Do you think he touches 40 million per?
Do you want to go first, Nick, or you want me to go?
Up to you if you have a take.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'll tell you it this way: if Bregman got 175, what do I think Bo should get? If he's getting 175, Bo should be closer to 3. And I'm not saying that Bo is a $300 million player. I'm just saying that if you're giving Bregman 175, to me, it's no brainer to give him 300. Now, realistically, here's what I do think, though, that the way that Major League Baseball views him as far as front offices, fair or not, I think that people do not look at Bo Bichette as a great defender, and I think a lot of teams don't look at him as a shortstop moving forward. Whereas Bregman, everyone still looks at him as a third baseman, and he's still pretty decent defensively there. And I can't even have too many gripes with him as for the way he played defense for the Red Sox when he was playing. So fair or not, and the fact that he has all that playoff experience, I think there's some value to that as well. Even though if you look at their statistics, much smaller sample size for Bo Bichette, he's the more impressive hitter. And I do think that front offices look at that similarly. I think Bo Bichette is going to probably end up somewhere around that 220 mark. I know there's people out there today saying 280, 300. If there was no lockout, I do think he would touch that number. And I reason why I think Major League Baseball has already been trending on these slower off seasons. The fact that we have a lockout pending, I think, is just making it exponentially worse, both on the timing of things and I think the money front of things. So I think he's going to touch somewhere between 220, maybe top end 250.
Nick.
Yeah, I think if he was a more consistent defender, or even a good one, you would probably, I agree, I would probably put him at the maybe 10-year, 300 million mark, because he is going into his age 38 season, or excuse me, 28 seasons. That would sign him through to age 38. It's not too bad. But Bo Bichette does have like a shortstop turned second baseman turned maybe first baseman turned DH kind of feel to him, just when you're looking over the course of his career, and I do think that's going to hurt him overall. Still, is he going to get 7 million or 7 years, rather 8 years? That's what he's looking for. Do I think he's going to be worth, a $30 million a year type of contract? To the extent that any free agent will be. Is it going to be an overpay? Yes. Is it going to be an egregious overpay? No, I don't think so. So, I mean, I guess right now, if I had to put a number on it, maybe 7 years or 8 years at 30 million apiece. So what, 210 or 240 million, somewhere in that ballpark.
I think he's, if you do the math out, 8 years, 37.5, which is $2.5 million more than what Bregman got, and you tack on a couple extra years, you're getting to that 300 number. That's your magic 300, Chris. And I think there's a chance that if a team is willing to do that, he signs yesterday. So I don't think that offer's on the table yet, which is why I think it's going to be somewhere in the realm of the 240, 250 range at the high end because of the mention of the strike. I think that's going to play into it. There was one person online that compared Carlos Correa to Bichette, and this was a little while back, like, oh, you wouldn't give him this kind of money, and he was looking for this. I don't compare the two. I don't think it's fair to compare the two. Yes, they've had injury history and injury problems. Bo Bichette's been able to do things that Carlos Correa could never do, and I'm not talking about just the fact that he could stay healthy. Carlos Correa has never had 100 RBIs. Carlos Correa has never hit 30 home runs. People are going to say, well, that's not a metric of being like a really good baseball player. Bo Bichette hasn't hit 30 at 29, had 100 RBIs a couple of years ago. It was right after COVID. But I still would rather take my shot at Bo Bichette now than Carlos Correa at 26 or 27. And if you have to shoot your shot with a middle infield guy that's not a head case, that comes from a big baseball family. His dad's Dante Bichette, who also played for the Boston Red Sox. So there's that connection too. I mean, it just makes more sense. But unfortunately, we don't want to spend the money. Or if we do, I will be the first one to issue a public apology. if we spend $240 million, I will go to Fenway Park this year. I'll actually, better yet, if Bo Bichette signs, we'll do a raffle. I will buy tickets and we'll give them to a listener.
Dude,
if that actually happens,
I'll be getting monster seats.
I'll go with you. I'll spend money for those tickets with you. Yeah, it'd be crazy. There's a chance of catching a home run, in the monster seats. I mean, that's how high I think we are, because people do say, oh, you guys are really negative. No, man, you do that, you'll turn us back into believers again. But you can't sit here and say, how come you're not being believers if you don't invest? Like, this is a game where it's pay to play and you're not paying. So we're going to be playing for, peanuts here.
I have two thoughts to usher us out here. The first one is just something that popped into my mind before when we were just talking about, a lot of the things that can go wrong for the Red Sox this year. And I'm thinking to myself that the 2026 Red Sox, as they are right now, have a very specific way to win games and a lot of different ways to lose them. That's sort of how it feels to me. If we go out there and we have a great starting pitching performance, and we put up 4 or 5 runs, that's going to feel like a lot of our victories are going to come from those sort of fundamental baseball, great games, all this. But I mean, you're going to see blown leads. You're going to see 2-1 losses. You're going to see it all, and I'm afraid that you're going to see it in a substantial enough number, of course, that it impacts the win record at the end of the year. And the other thing is just a bit of speculation on what the heck this contract means for Kyle Tucker. That's going to be really interesting, because to me, this is kind of the Cubs coming to terms with they're not getting Tucker. They are not going to be the team that locks him up. And it's just a little wild to me, because let's say that Tucker is behind closed doors, $40 million, somewhere in that ballpark. I think that's a lot of the speculation, right? That's only $5 million more than what Alex Bregman just got for what I feel is a better player, especially long-term. So it really does make me wonder what the heck is going on in those negotiations.
Again, I think if it wasn't a lockout season, I feel like Tucker would already have a contract, especially the age and the talent and the numbers that he's put up and the type of hitter that he is. And you're right. I do feel like the Cubs are 100% out on Tucker at this point, which, you should feel good, because if you're a Sox fan on any other normal year, you'd be like, okay, you got Tucker and Bichette. Well, the Blue Jays can't sign them both, or logic would say they won't sign them both. And I think all of us would agree with that. But how typical would it be if Bo Bichette naturally goes back to the Blue Jays or goes to the Phillies, and then the Dodgers are like, let's just sign Tucker. We have the money. We could kick it down until 2070. Who cares? And they will. There's already rumblings about it. So, that's already what I'm expecting at this point. I'm expecting Bo Bichette to either go back to the Blue Jays, or Dave Dombrowski to be like, yeah, I'll sign Bo Bichette. Like, why not? No one else has. And then Kyle Tucker's going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to go to L.A. and I'll have a contract that's paying me until, my grandkids are getting paid on it.
It's going to be a fun year, guys. This is going to be a really fun year. I really can't wait to do the show with some of you gents when certain things are happening. I really can't.
For sure.
And we're going to reference 110-26.
Oh, yes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It's been a heck of a show. We did this kind of abrupt, right? Because Terry is out of town right now. So he just shot a message to the group chat and went, can anyone do an emergency show tonight? And I'm like, that's how I heard about the news. I was like, uh-oh, what just happened? Oh, come on. You know what I mean? So that was, literally the 30 minutes right prior to us going live. So thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. Hopefully the Red Sox can figure something out here. It'll be interesting to see what the rest of the offseason holds and what, obviously, the rest of the season holds. I've been Nick the Voice, joined by Charlie Smith and Chris Felico. We have been the Bastards of Boston. We will see you next time. Take care.